I'm Alex Lacroix, and this is how you sell without selling out. Roger's that.
Hi, I'm Rogers Healy, and welcome to Rogers That, a podcast dedicated to selling without selling out. I know what you're thinking. Am I day drinking? Maybe. You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, but today, you don't know what time it is, but I will tell you what time it is. It's tequila time. Today, we have a great friend of mine that, funny enough, this is the first time we've met in person, but we've connected through social media, email, phone, Zoom, everything you can think of under the sun, in large part because my friend Alex Lacroix is the founder, the brains, the vision, the passion, the heart, the energy behind my favorite tequila company, Siempre. For all you people that don't have Google in front of you, Siempre is Spanish for always. It's Spanish for forever, and Alex and I are always going to be friends forever, and it's also because our team here at Morrison Seeger was lucky enough to be one of Siempre's investors. So Alex, some fun facts about him before we get started and having him kind of share his story. He's Canadian, and he's a Canadian that is in the tequila business that's here visiting in Dallas, Texas, which we're going to take that dive in a second. But as y'all start to unravel and learn about Siempre and Alex and his team and his family, he is a statistic in the best way possible. And I always believe in people that have resiliency, that have perspective, that have persistence, and that have a tunnel vision of doing something in a crowded space, whether it's real estate, whether it's sparkling water, or alcohol. Everybody has a podcast. Almost everybody has an alcohol, but most people don't get listens or views, and most people don't sell it. He's done that, and today we're going to share his story. So with all that being said, I'm excited to welcome my friend with the Lone Star hat on here in the great state of Texas, Alex.
Oh my God. It was great.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was good.
Alex Lacroix.
Yeah, you got the name.
So it's spelled like the water company that's not that popular anymore. But when he pronounced it like a Canadian, say it again for all the people at home.
Lacroix. You know, the French, growing up, you know, in Quebec and speaking French helped with the Spanish afterwards.
Really?
Yeah, you know,
just because it's a respect of a different language.
You know, the verbs, rolling the R's, that whole thing. You know, so it was good. It helped.
So why Quebec? Why is it not Quebec? I knew about Quebec as watching ESPN as a kid.
Yeah,
but it's Quebec.
Well, it's the same thing as Lacroix, Lacroix. You know,
what is Lacroix?
Quebec.
What does it stand for?
The cross.
Oh, duh.
It was a name. It was actually so. I got a Spanish background. And they were releasing people from jail in Spain or Spanish prisoners in France and saying, hey, you know what? If you go fight for us in New France over there in, you know, what wasn't Canada yet, we'll set you up. You can have some land. You can, you know, live a new free life instead of rotting in jail or whatever. Wow. And so a bunch of people signed up, went across on a boat, and then fought the British. And you know, then some of them survived and got to live on and stay, and they got this Lacroix name. It was just like a placeholder name that they gave a bunch of people. So
in America, we call them Smith.
Yeah. So I'm the Smith of Canada.
But you're not. You're the Siempre.
Yes.
I almost said Canadians. You're Canada's golden son, and not just because you have become. You're an incredible girl dad. You're an incredible entrepreneur, a visionary, etc. But maybe walk us through, you know, who are you? And again, if y'all want to follow a company that gets incredible publicity, and it just happens to be an alcohol company, it's these guys. But a large part of your brand revolves around the fact that you had a broken path, you know, which gave you the road to significance.
Yeah, goodness, how far back do we go? You know, I sometimes I start the story as lucky I fell in love with a Mexican woman. You know, my partner Monica and I, we started with $9,000 on a credit card 8 years ago. But, you know, long before that, yeah, you know, I might have grew up in the wrong part of town, had some bad people that I looked up to, maybe, and I was involved in a whole bunch of crime. You know, I was sitting in a jail cell, and I was on 27 guns and gang charges, and we don't have the Second Amendment in Canada. My best friend had just got murdered.
How old were you?
I was in my mid-20s.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had just had a daughter. She was a month old, and I was on my way out of, you know, just on my way of, I was getting out of it, and I got caught up, and I was sitting there, and I was looking at, you know, 5 to 10 years in prison, and I was praying, man. It was a Sunday, and I said a little prayer, and I said, look, if I get bail somehow, I'm never looking back. I'm never going to go back to this. You know, it was easy money, but it doesn't make any sense. I'd rather be broke and a role model and just be alive and there for my daughter.
What's your daughter's name?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah.
Yeah, she is a fantastic 12-year-old human being, and
With
some.
great shoe game.
Oh man, her shoe game is on
Yeah,
point.
she has great shoe game. Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. She schools me to it. But yeah, no. So somebody answered the prayers. My lawyer, he was walking the halls, and the judge that married him and his wife was there, just picking up some paperwork, in and out of the office. And he said, "Hey, can I get a bail hearing?" He said, "Yeah, I guess so." And he heard me out. They let me out, and I spent 8 years of my life correcting course until we actually got to trial. So
8 years.
8 years of pushing that trial back.
Obviously, outside you were not in the spirit space.
No, not yet. Not yet. I certainly had done my fair share of drinking, but
Research and development.
yes, of course.
Yes.
No, I ended up working as a bar back, as a server in restaurants, a cable guy, every job under the sun, saving up a buck or two, and then eventually applied for college, for advertising college, and I got in. So I went to school. And this was a 4-hour drive. It was in Toronto, and I was living in Ottawa. So I would drive to school at the beginning of the week on a Monday, and then drive back on a Friday to be with my daughter the entire weekend for 3 years almost. And ended up being one of the most awarded art directors in the business. I was top 50 in North America. Ended up winning a ton of awards.
Were you passionate about it? Were you excited?
Absolutely loved it. Look, what I loved was I was a normal human being. That's all I wanted. Once I realized that there was a different world out there, because I thought that it was just the world that I had previously known, and nobody I knew. I didn't know anybody that graduated high school, went to college, any of that stuff. It was just that life, and I think the most remarkable part is I know a lot of people that went through that situation in the past. And they thought that was it, and it was the end, and it was over. And so they went deeper down that hole, and they didn't end up in a good place, And so I think, part of that dedication, was to also be a role model to them or to anyone else that ends up in the same situation that I was in. But 8 years later, I literally presented before sentencing to the judge everything that I had done in those 8 years, which ultimately ended up with starting a spirits company. And
Siempre, obviously.
That's right. Yeah. Starting Siempre Tequila with my partner, Monica, and growing it into this national brand. And he said, "You know what?
National at the time, meaning Canada.
Canada. That's right.
So,
yeah.
and obviously we're going to get there, but again, it's produced in Jalisco, Mexico. You're living in Canada, which I'm assuming it was not super easy to travel with kind of the role that you're in.
It was not.
But you still somehow figured it out. And so you get to your decision day where it's fight or flight or whatever. What was that? Was it just the most bizarre pitch ever, knowing that you went and told a judge that you're out on gun charges and maybe some other stuff you shouldn't have been doing, and instead of going into a different kind of straight and narrow, you're going to go into the alcohol space? What was?
Yeah, I mean, so mix of alcohol space, never breaching my conditions, following all the rules, and ultimately rehabilitating myself without going to prison. That was the whole theme there. It was just like, look at what I've accomplished in all of this time. And the Crown attorney, the prosecution, stepped up and agreed with my 57-page presentation. He said, "You know what? This young man has been present every day in court and polite and held the door open and was some people go to court and they're mean to everybody. They're angry. They're angry that this is happening to them. They're not accepting responsibility that you were in that situation. So I was just positive the entire time and proved that I really took this thing seriously. And the judge said, "You know what, kid? I'm going to give you house arrest." I was supposed to get mandatory minimum 2 years in prison. They now use my cases
after 8 years. So what was the 8-year period? And obviously, this is just the difference between our two systems, I guess.
It was pushing back trial. Okay. It was one thing after another. It was, but my lawyer, I think, played it very well and said, "You know what? You're doing really well. Let's try to push this date back a little bit."
Gotcha.
And hey, let's play with this a little bit to allow me the time to do what I'm doing, because I said, look, like, I got to get the spirits brand off the ground. if we can just get this going, then at least I can come back to something. And lo and behold, he said, I'm going to let you build this business and be with your kid. So they use that as they use that case now as an example for anybody who's rehabilitated themselves after being charged with firearm stuff.
So what year was the date when you actually went to court after the 8-year hold period?
Yeah, it was 2000. It was about 2016.
Wow.
Yeah, a year of building Siempre, and then to me it was like, oh no, it's all coming to an end. And I think that's really our brand ethos at the same time, right? Just always look at the bottle half full, do the best you can no matter what the situation is, and the gig is not up until until the seconds on the clock hit zero, right? So even if there's 1 second left, you can still change the game and take it home. And I just kept a level head, and that was that, and it turned out well.
The people that I know you've connected, the Goat Fuel people, the founder, you guys are a lot alike, and she's very successful in one of her things. Her name is Jacqui. And it's all about burning the ships, right? It's about once you get there, you literally cannot look back, to where if you took a boat, if you took a ship to the destination, you set them on fire and you just keep going. And you've obviously done that differently. So let's talk about the competitive space of, again, the alcohol space. And y'all that are not super familiar with the investing world or the startup world, again, this is truly one of the most competitive spaces in the world. Whether you're great at marketing, real estate, et cetera, getting all this stuff to kind of align together is really hard, especially when you have 6 different verticals or 6 different SKUs.
6, yeah.
So maybe get us through, the short and the sweet of coming up with the name Siempre, how you and Monica put this thing together, being based in Quebec. Say it for me. Quebec. To Jalisco, Mexico. There's an entire country in between the two. So what was that origin story?
Yeah, so Monica, her grandmother and great grandmother used to make mezcal.
Cool.
So her grandparents are from Guerrero, and so was her mother. So Acapulco, Guerrero, and her grandfather was a fruit farmer.
Do you speak Spanish?
Sí, más o menos.
But did you speak it before?
No, not before.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we started, he was saying that being able to speak French fluently has given him the ability to pick up on Spanish probably quicker than most.
Yeah, that's right. No, she kind of threw me in there and had a good laugh for 8 years while I learned how to do it.
Wow.
But no, her grandparents were farmers, and so her grandmother would have them harvest agave, and she would, have it cooked and make batches of mezcal for the family. So agave spirits were in her blood. And it was in my bloodstream because I was lots of practice.
Yeah, I probably have some agave in my bloodstream.
Yeah, if you test us right now, So we just kept that going. And look, funny enough, while I was going through this entire court process, I had my bail transferred to Monica's parents' place because I needed to be somewhere to be at school. And so her mom said, "All right, yeah. You'll see criminal, I'll take you in. I believe in you." And they would, before, during, after meals, just casually sip on tequila. They're not getting drunk or partying or getting crazy. They're just like, no, this is just what we do. Agave spirits is just a part of our lifestyle. And we would be like, okay, well, this is not, salt, lime, knock it back. Like they are just like, it's just part of their thing. You get sick. Her mom will do tequila, lime, honey, and she'll say, hey, sip on that. It's going to make you feel better. They did it for Monica when she was a little girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
So medicinal tequila.
Absolutely.
The new wine. Which,
yeah.
Again, we'll get to the newest line that you have here.
Cures everything. You got a sunburn, rub some tequila on there, you'll be fine. I
broke my finger. Put it in tequila.
You'll be all right. Beard oil. So that was a big part of it. But where we were in Ontario or in Canada, tequila was not as popular as it was in California or Texas, right? So to us, it was a tremendous opportunity because everywhere we would go, people would be like, tequila, oh, no way. This one time in college, I hate it. No, I'm not all about it. But we knew that there was amazing stuff. You had Chinaco and Patron and all these brands on the come up. And I think Casamigos was just starting to bubble. So there was a big awareness about tequila that was starting to come into play. And we saw the opportunity. And in the beginning, we're like, oh, Canadian market, let's go get it. And so we spent a lot of our time after we created Siempre just convincing people to fall in love with tequila again. and I think that's what
Not just some people, a country.
an entire nation. Yes.
No pressure. Who's your target market? Canada.
The Canada.
The Canada, the
Yeah.
entire country of Canada.
Yeah.
So what was the liquor of choice prior? Like whiskey, stuff that you would think that you just drink when you're freezing cold? I mean, is it just cliche?
I mean, look, it kind of, I think that it runs about the same as the United States, where some.
By the way, caught the aboot. Just
the aboot.
Yeah, it runs.
Where did we find that? Where did that come from?
It runs about the same of the United States.
It's about the same as the United States.
Yeah,
it's about the same as the United States.
3
You got
points.
it.
Yeah.
He got me. So some states are advanced when it comes to spirits, and some pick up a little later. So I think it was whiskey, bourbon, cognacs. There's a whole lot of vodka too, man. Vodka's dying though. I'll tell you how much.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun thing about tequila too that I learned through this journey. It's the only liquor that essentially is an upper.
Yeah.
Right. Every other liquor is a depressant, and ironically, tequila is something that matches your personality and your persistence and your spirit. Literally and figuratively, it's the only liquor that technically lifts you up, right? Unless you have an entire bottle, and then it'll put you down. Yeah.
But no, good tequila that is 100% agave, produced in a good way without all the additives, will get you high. It won't get you drunk if you consume it responsibly.
And so you do this. You and Monica launch it, and you're. Again, I think that in the term ignorance is bliss, I think is a really powerful term, right? And there's a lot of things that if you would have probably sat down with someone and said, why would you do this when there's 800 other people trying to do the same thing? Why it's going to cost so much money? You're going to have to raise money to get more bottle. It probably didn't do any good. So the ignorance or the unknown, probably the fear of the unknown gave you the lever to be excited and actually go and attack this thing full steam.
That absolutely. And coming from the advertising space and as an art director, what was drilled in our head is every idea on this planet has already been done.
Yeah.
It's already been done. Your job is to do it again and make it better. And look at all the problems in the space and correct them and just go do it better. So we would look at the tequila aisle, and the entire category, and we were like, you know what? The packaging is a little serious, a little masculine, and a little boring, and when you look at tequilas, the demographic of people that drink tequila, I think one of the low key parts that stood out was women consume tequila a great deal of it, and it's like their fun shot. It's what they go to, and the female demographic that drank tequila was growing and growing and growing, and we're like, there's nothing that really appeals to the female side of the tequila demographic, and not only that, there was nothing that was colorful and beautiful and bright like Mexico is, right? When you walk around the streets in Mexico is this big, colorful, beautiful, mismatched mess that is glorious. And nobody was really capturing that. That street art, that, like when you look at the
Dia de los Muertos, like just
exactly. It was all just like very dark, brown, serious, and we're just like, no, that's not Mexico. So we drew this beautiful label. I drew it with a pencil, actually.
Really? So you created the label of this?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But even the bottle shape is different. It's just right? This is not a typical, tequila bottle.
You're right. Well, it was the original tequila bottle, or one of the original tequila bottles, and no one was using this shape. There was a few people that came out afterwards to use the same bottle shape, but this is what happens in our business. So tequila was an illegal substance in Mexico.
That's not me texting.
Okay, I was like, what do you say?
No.
It was an illegal. So you could not sell tequila because it was not a product of Spain, and the Spanish king was still in charge, and so they had to find a way to smuggle it around, and the way that they did that was through priests and through nurses and doctors. So they would say, well, no, it's just medicine. It's an IV bottle, sir.
No way.
So this is an old apothecary or IV bottle.
No way.
And that's why we chose this bottle shape.
What does tequila actually stand for? What does that mean? What's the interpretation?
So there's a town just outside of Guadalajara called Tequila, and tequila was known as like the working man's stopover town, and tequila was specifically only ever produced in that region. It was called vino de mezcal or vino de tequila because it was like, oh, that wine that we drink when we go to tequila, and so it just became tequila. So it was like the working class's booze from this stopover town that was cheaper to stay in than Guadalajara while they were building the city.
Wow.
And that's how tequila got its name.
Jokes on Guadalajara, because tequila ended up.
We could have been drinking Guadalajara right now. They messed up.
Yeah, tequila sounds a lot better.
I think so.
So you go to market, and again, your literal, your total area of marketability is a country, obviously the world, et cetera. And I want to make sure we unfold the fact that you've got an army in the Middle East as a client. Just the random connections with this stuff is really cool, and it's kind of kismet. But what was the first moment where you knew you had something? And again, this is I'm assuming the alcohol business is a multi-trillion-dollar business in itself. Tequila is probably one of the only ones that's coming up, versus vodka dying and beer dying, et cetera. But what was the first moment?
The first moment when we knew we had something.
Well, yeah. How did you know that? Or maybe the first moment where you're going to go do this full time, right? Like, and not that it was a side hustle, but you got to spend a lot of money here to make anything, and then you got to spend a lot more to go and have it scale. But what was that first moment? Like maybe a musician hears their song on the radio, right? Was it social media? Was it someone at a bar asking for a Siempre? What was the first time where you knew that you had a tiger by the tail?
Yeah, I mean, I there's a few of those little moments, but one of them, as far as the packaging, we weren't sure. We're like, this label, I don't know, like, is it the one? I'm trying to show it around and see, but we were in Mexico. We had just bottled our first batch, September 15th, 2015. We took a bottle out into the town. And we're walking around. We're sampling it with the locals that were living there and stuff. And so one of the first moments was a lady went, "Wow, this is my entire childhood." On the label. She's like, "I've never seen such a beautiful label like this," and she was just fascinated by how we captured, like the beauty of Mexico. She said it. It sounded much better in Spanish. And then we said, okay, packaging is good, right? But having a beautiful package or being beautiful on the outside is one thing, but you got to make sure that it's beautiful on the inside too. And so we walked up to a group of old men. They were playing cards, and excuse me, you guys want to try a little bit of tequila with us? And so they said, yeah, maybe we'll try your tequila. I said, maybe. Well, what do you mean? They said, well, first we gotta touch it. And so the old guys, I wish I had an open bottle, I'd do it with you. But the old guys, they pour the tequila in their hands, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And they rub their hands, and then they smell it. And they go, well, I won't even sip at tequila until I can feel it and smell it, and that's how I know that it's good and that it's worth putting in my mouth. And I'm like, okay. So they smelt it, and they touched their hands. They said, well, it's not sticky, so there's no additives. They're not messing around with it. And then they went, you know what? Feels good, smells good, so have a sip. And then they had a sip, and they said, this is fantastic. I haven't had tequila like this in a long time. And so we know the juice was approved by the old timers, so we were like, okay, we're onto something here. And that was a cool feeling to be in Mexico on the streets in the town of Tequila and have the people that live there sign off on it, both on the packaging and the taste. It gives you the goosebumps. It felt good.
Insider approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do this, and you hit not critical. Maybe you hit critical mass, but you do it. You remember the first time that you had a real obstacle, whether it was a purchase order you couldn't fulfill, or you're trying to enter a market that's difficult to get into. 'Cause again, I don't think people can realize how incredible the competition is in the market. And again, you've maintained for almost a decade to stay at a healthy pace of growth, where obviously we'll land the plane with where you guys are at now. But what was that first moment? You're like, holy crap, this is big time.
Right. So, well, the first difficult moment. So I can hit you with a triple right now. So we created this batch. The LCBO, Liquor Control Board of Ontario, which is what a lot of the control states model their business on, and we brought all this product in, and we were just happy. We're like, oh my God, we're going to be available in the stores. It's going to go down. It's going to happen. And then all the product came in, and they were like, you know what? Actually, we're gonna. Why don't you reapply next year? Just start as a consignment product. We went, okay. Well, what does that mean? That means when the last bottle gets sold is when you get paid. So we could not collect any cash on our purchase order until the very last bottle of 150 cases was sold. And they're like, oh, by the way, because it's this consignment thing, it's going to be taxed differently. So these bottles were sold for 99 bottles each, and you can only buy one case at a time. So a bar or a restaurant was the only establishment that could buy it, and they had to spend $600 a case. It was $99 a bottle. And I was just like, oh, okay, we got some work to do. But we busted our ass and we figured it out and we got it done.
Wow.
So that was one. Another time, we got a listing with Safeway in Alberta, Canada. And
the grocery store?
The grocery store.
So you can sell liquor at a grocery store in Canada?
Yeah. So Canada is consider it like 12 different little mini countries.
Yeah.
They all got their own rules and regulations and stuff. And Alberta is like the Wild West.
You can buy liquor at a grocery store in California.
That's right.
Texas, you can't.
Anyway. Alberta, it's like the grocery sells liquor, but then you got to walk out one door and into the other one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. It's all right. We learn. But Alberta, when we had this, oh my God, you can't get into the stores, you can only sell the bars and restaurants kind of issue, and we were waiting to get into the LCBO, we said, well, we're not going to sit here and wait. We're going to go out and make some money. So we built some inventory, got it out to Alberta. And that was like the Wild West. That was like the big eye opener, because in Alberta, when you sell one case to one liquor store, you get paid 1 week later for every single case, every single time. And that's still our ace, man. We still make great money in Alberta because of that, for cash flow. So, it was just a completely different game. And we realized the opportunity that there was in both Alberta and the United States, because a lot of the states worked like that as well.
So was it a difficult time entering the United States as far as, getting distribution and learning as you were going? And obviously I'm assuming it's just as competitive here as it is in Canada.
Yeah. So in Ontario, on the liquor store shelf, there might be 30 tequilas. We said, you know what? Let's jump in. Let's self-distribute in California. And when we finally got there, when we finally started selling to stores there, we realized that there were 300 tequilas in that tequila section. You go to K&L Spirits, or you go to one of these bigger stores. There's 300 tequilas.
Wow.
And it was like, okay, well, how do we stand out? What do we do? But I think it's just. And it's like this in any competitive business. You just need to outwork everybody.
Yeah.
You got to be crazy. And I just took all the energy that I had from back in the day, and that drive to never end up in that situation again, and applied it to the spirits business.
How do you stay on top of it now? So again, this is 2023. You're essentially 8 years into the business. Is that right?
Yeah.
8 years in the business. There's probably more than 300 tequila companies now that are fighting for shelf space. And
there was 188 new tequila brands last year.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember when I had the opportunity to invest in y'all, I had it narrowed down to two companies, you and one that was like celebrity backed. And I'm grateful I went this path, but 188 last year, which say there's 600 in the U.S. Right. How do you guys stay on top? Like, even within the shelf space, right? It's a real estate play. If it's at eye level and it looks sexy, somebody might buy it versus the ones that are at the bottom that is for the frat house.
Yeah, and we'll walk into some stores, and Siempre went from being eye level to some other brand coming in and secretly shuffling us down behind another box of, I don't know, you know what I mean, rosé wine or something like that, and you can't see us anymore. And you go, that's why sales slow down in this one retail store. But it is just about the people that you involve. Like, when you're trying to scale a business, you got to, like, HR is one of the most important things. You got to find people that are as in love with the business and as passionate as you are. And it's the most difficult thing ever to do. They got to be sharp, and you need to, sometimes you got to show them the ropes a little bit, but we've been fortunate enough to have absolutely amazing people in our team that go out there and get it as hard as we do. So we've just we made the mold, and we We've replicated it in the people that we have on the ground, and that along with the combination of some really great industry veterans that we brought along, have been towing the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we connected. Like, and again, I was a relatively unintentional passive investor in y'all, and then got an email to kind of be a part of another raise where you went and essentially acquired talent to help you scale, which proves that you have no ego. You and Monica, there's no ego in this. You're growing it with true intention. But maybe talk to us about like where the company's at now, right? 8 years in, you got shelf space. By the way, he went and picked this up on the way here from a local liquor store, so it's not like he traveled from Canada with it. So you can actually find it here. But
Total Wine and Specs.
Total Wine and Specs. And if you go to the Siempre website, which is, what is it?
SiempreTequila.com.
There's a store finder in there, a store locator. You put your zip code and it tells you the closest one, et cetera.
Yeah.
But maybe what are some of the to brag on yourself? What are some of the most recent accolades and numbers?
Yeah. Well, we've goodness in the last 3 years we've grown about 180%, or maybe a little north of 200%. We have an awesome vice president sales who comes off of 15 years as a VP at Patron Spirits, Mr. Wes Tachibana.
Okay.
Awesome guy.
Cool.
Adam is an anomaly, man. He's an amazing human. He's our president. He was a Siempre investor and like worked his way into just being one of our fearless leaders and he's raised a whole bunch of cash for us, but he's got a MIT, Microsoft, tech background. No, I'm just turning this sound off. I can't believe it. Turn the sound off.
You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's an impressive team, and again, it's like this motley crew. Which what I liked about it, again, most of the stuff that I really like going deep in, it's like the thing for the people that never had it before. Even though it's not like you invented tequila, but it's like tequila for everybody else, right? It's a tequila for whether it's the working class, or tequila for the people that appreciate marketing, tequila for people that actually can afford to buy nice tequila, and it just made sense to where the fancy brands are for the fancy people, the lower end brands are for the people that don't really have taste or intention, but you did it for everyone else, which seems to be a way bigger market than the other two mentioned. Yeah,
than the two extremes. Look, it's like the Plata, Reposado, and Añejo, the main SKUs. Originally, we created these tequilas as gateway tequilas. How do we convince someone that didn't like tequila to come back to it and fall in love with it, and us be their first love? Because that's what creates like a super fan. You got them forever if they fall in love with you first for the first time. They'll always come back. And it was meant to be soft, easy to drink, but still complex enough for an aficionado. And I think we got lucky, but it was a lot of hard work. But we knocked it out of the park with that. And then with the three other ones, we started to get into into the super, like the craft space. Like we're bringing people luxury that's not it's not pretty luxury. It's luxury because of the quality. And I think that's where the world is going anyways. You're not going to pick up a jacket or a pair of shoes because it's got a brand name on it. You're going to pick it up because it's really, really high quality also. Paying whatever amount of money for a pair of shoes is going to fall apart on you because it's got a cool name. I think it doesn't fly anymore.
What are those?
These are some Nikes.
Nike, I've heard of them.
They're a very good quality, though. I tell you, I like them because of the quality.
Charles Barkley's?
They're the So these are an iteration of the what are they called here? I forget.
They're Nikes.
I like them. Yeah, they work.
Reminds me, I remember my parents would buy me a pair of basketball shoes every year, and it had nothing to do with comfort or functionality. It was just how cool they looked, and that's a very like early '90s retro look, which has nothing to do with tequila. So as you continue this path of being a statistic on the good side of things, what's the relative end goal? Like, at what point do you feel like, all right, I've accomplished the Mount Rushmore of being a tequila titan? What's the actual end goal?
Well, like for Monica and I, like Siempre is, it's one of our kids. It's our baby, right? And now, I mean, it's not a baby anymore. It's very much, I feel like it's in its teenager phase, heading into its prime, and we just want to see it grow up and take on a life of its own. I think that as a founder, there's nothing that we would love more than to to raise it up to a level where someone, a bigger entity can come and be like, hey, this is perfect. We'll pick this up and take it from here and just see it take off. There's only so much that we can do. Little old us. We got, a little less than 20 people on the team, but the power of a joint venture, or the power of one of these big guys and their global distribution and all the staff behind it is where we would like to see this brand go. Because it deserves to be on a world stage.
Yeah, which it is. Which, again, one of my favorite little facts about Siempre. Maybe share a couple of the people or the groups that are fans or users or customers, starting with the Army.
Well, we do sell to certain. Well, here's the thing. So I mean, maybe stateside first. So
Yeah.
we sell to some of the Army exchanges and around a lot of Air Force bases. Monica's cousin is a U.S. Air Force veteran, so he did a couple of tours. Now he's an Air Force pilot. That's where we were this weekend in Wichita Falls.
Oh, cool.
And he's got his whole crew on it. We sell a lot of tequila to Air Force Base in Southern California as well.
Wow.
And so we got that side of things. And then, the Indian market of all places. And so they sell to military and a lot of the wealthy sort of neighborhoods and spirit stores and stuff. It just blows my mind, man, where this thing goes. Yeah.
Not something to complain about. It's good.
No,
You're
it's fantastic.
everywhere. Is there such thing as balance with what you're doing?
Like a work-life balance?
Yeah. I mean, chintzy question, but I don't think there is. I think that, I found myself time blocking and having a relatively new wife and a new child.
Congratulations. By
Thank
the
you.
way.
But I'm I'm such a program person that getting married at 40, having a kid at 42, I find myself like, here's my dedicated time to be talking to my wife or hanging out with my daughter. And it's super hard where I'm always in growth mode. And the catch-22 of venture is that like I'm always a part of other people's growth, but there's no end goal for me, right? Which becomes kind of a drug. But with what you're doing, obviously traveling to multiple countries, talking to people on the phone, mitigating risk, keeping your team under 20 to maintain overhead. But is there such thing as actually finding a balance?
You need to find some. I mean, that it's not perfectly balanced, but you do need to find time to reset, or else you just burn out.
Yeah.
I think that was something. We worked hard when we were in advertising. As when I was an art director, we went really, really hard. But there was a time where you had to turn it off, otherwise you couldn't come back with fresh ideas. I think it's the same in sports and in a bunch of other businesses. You got to be able to turn it off, and that was a huge challenge in the beginning. But I think that we've found ways to be able to turn it off, and my daughter has always been that too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, these are questions we didn't prep you for, but I'm just going to ask them now that we're buddies.
Rock and roll.
So imagine if I own a steakhouse and someone comes there and they order like this really nice, beautiful piece of meat, and then I ask for steak sauce and I'm offended. Is it the same thing with tequila? If someone wants to mix it with like soda water or with something like too many limes, are you like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This is the fanciest tequila ever. What's that like as a tequila guy?
I won't get offended, but we will have a conversation.
Really? Do you mix yours with anything?
Talk. There is. Look, so when we say when you meet a tequila for the first time, it's kind of like relationship. You gotta kind of be your best and take your time and get close to it. Like you swirl it around in the glass. It's like dancing for the first time. You get a little closer, and if he or she has bad cologne or perfume that gives you a migraine, you don't want to go close for the first kiss, right? First sip is like the first kiss.
Have you been asked this question before?
Once or twice.
Dang it! I thought I was doing the parallel with the steakhouse, and you literally you just press play. You knew the response. Keep going.
No. So it's like a relationship, and I think that you should go through a couple of. You should go for your first date with the tequila before you guys get wild and crazy and do all kinds of different stuff. So
will you drink anything else other than tequila?
Absolutely.
Really?
I have an incredible bourbon collection. We should explore it one day.
Do you drink any other tequila other than Siempre?
Yes, it's very important that we drink all tequilas because they're all part of this whole story. I think.
When are you going to go into politics? After Siempre?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think actually I won't comment on our current political situation in Canada. They could use a prime minister or two or whatever it is. Yeah.
True. What a great story. Okay, who would play you in the movie? From prison to tequila titan to prime minister? Who?
Likely Mekhi Phifer.
Oh wow! No, you were ready for that too. You haven't been asked that question. If Siempre was a celebrity, who would it be?
It was. I would have said The Rock at some point.
For some reason, I was going Dr. Dre.
Oh,
I was
Dre,
thinking of someone who like had a rough upbringing, found themselves out of a bad situation, rebranded themselves, went from music to headphone pioneer to
yeah, I could see that. Dr. Dre. Look, I mean, it's interesting with celebrities because the majority of them are the ones that really made it big. They all have a crazy ass story.
Duh.
Because that's what, you got to be different. Like my daughter was asking me, we're having a conversation about like, all the kids are doing this and everybody's the same. And, I'm a little different and I don't know if that's okay or not. I'm like, look, right now it's a big deal and you got to conform. And it seems like you got to like be the same as everybody else to fit in. But that one thing that makes you unique or different is what's going to literally make you like a celebrity or stand out or be apart from everyone when you're older. And people are going to be jealous of that, but you don't realize it.
Like a quote that changed my life, which kind of led me to this podcast, was you got to be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get back to something as we get to the ending of this.
Yeah.
One, again, from two marketing guys, right? It's not what you sell, it's how you sell it. But one of your, or if the only unofficial tagline for Siempre is no celebrity required. Right, you talk about 200 new tequila brands come to market last year.
It's nuts.
199 of them literally are probably backed by a celebrity, which means you better hope that celebrity doesn't do anything stupid. If not, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Your whole thing, again, it goes back to, I was like, I love this. It is no celebrity required. What's the whole theme of that? Like, why did you feel so convicted to where it was literally on a billboard in Manhattan or in New York City? I mean, you were everywhere with it.
Yeah.
Which makes the celebrities want to be a part of it even more so.
Yeah, it was just when the world zigs, you zag.
Yep.
Right. Like being a black sheep in a crowd of white sheep, you stand out. So it was like we were walking into liquor stores. I would do 10 liquor stores in a day, and 9 of the stores are like, yeah, what celebrity's backing you? Well, how am I going to sell this if you don't have a? And I'm like, all right, well, we don't need one.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I get emotional talking about celebrities.
It's I'm tearing up too. I'm letting you cough. Yeah, so it was just like no celebrity required. No celebrity Okay, let's do it. Yeah. So we just took that. It's kind of like I think sodas, right? Back in the day, there was Coca-Cola. There was there was root beer, and there are all these brown and dark sodas, and then like 7-Up came in, or Sprite, or whoever it was. They said, well, we're the clear soda. They found their little niche. Like this is how we're going to be different, and that's how Siempre, found a way to be different in that market space. We're like, well, we're the ones that don't need one at all. So we have that shelf talker, or we had that shelf talker, for the last 2 years, and it goes on the shelf between, Celebrity X's tequila and Celebrity Y's tequila. And it says celebrity not required, and it's right there in between, and people have a laugh. They go, that's funny. I like that. They pick it up, they bring it home, they try it, they like it, and they buy it again. Simple as that. Just to get a raise out of people. And
love it.
Yeah.
2 more questions. The second to last is your legacy, right? Again, broken story to finding yourself, to perspective with being a father, and then a business person second. But what is it? You look back in a few decades and you've sold your business for $1 billion. You did the next thing, you won every award, top 40 marketing person that just proved to burn the ships and stayed the course over the course of 8 years, and then another 80 after. What do you want to be remembered for?
The guy that didn't give up when he was faced with some serious adversity, and let that be a lesson to everybody else who went through some crazy ass stuff. That thought about giving up but didn't, or was considering giving up, but then they heard this story or another story that was similar to mine. I just want to be able to be one of those people that people can look to and go, okay, well, if he could do it, then I can do it.
Yeah, well, here's 6 reasons that you are doing it. You got 6 flavors. Best advice to give, or that you've received. What's the one piece of advice that just sits at the top of your head every single day?
Yeah, it would be that that no matter the situation, there is a way to get things done. You just haven't considered all the angles yet. That I think there's a picture, like a meme, where like the guy's digging for a diamond, and there's like an inch left to that diamond, and he gave up, and he was almost there.
And then someone like you comes over there and knocks the wall down.
Yeah, see you later.
There you
Yeah.
Last question. Best way to support Alex, best way to support Siempre. How do we find it? How do we follow? Their social media game is strong too. What's the best way to go and support the brand and the cause?
Thank you. We try. If we ship nationwide through our website. So
Which nation?
the nation of America.
Okay, I didn't know if it was Canada or Mexico.
There's
US.
a Canadian option for those who say A and a boot and enjoy maple syrup, and
Ew, I hate maple syrup. I really, yeah.
it's more expensive than bourbon, man. So
Maple
stick to the
syrup,
bourbon.
you
Yeah.
can keep it. I like all foods except maple syrup. I think that's why I haven't been to Canada. I'm so afraid that once you land and you get off the plane, they're like maple syrup, and I'm just gonna get back on the plane.
You know when you land in Cancun and they got tequila shots.
Yeah, that's so nice of them.
I'll be there with the tray.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Welcome to Canada.
What were we talking about?
No, how to support Siempre and to be a part of this brand, which is obviously it's more than an alcohol brand, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a story, and it's inclusive, and it's it's everything. It's the American dream based in Canada.
Well, the American dream is somebody coming to America and then growing their bit. So I didn't come from overseas. I came from just like across the border.
Fair enough.
It's a small sea.
Fair
Maybe.
enough.
It's a great lake. The American dream, but supported by drinking it, telling the brand story. The brand story is everything, you know. And just logging on to siempretequila.com and picking up a bottle if you can. There's a store finder. I think we love it when you walk into the store and actually ask for it. If they don't carry it somewhere, ask for it, because that's what gets people interested and looking for us out there.
Yeah, and it's been so fun. And most of the people that I'm friends with that have restaurants or bars don't even know that I'm involved. And I'm just like, can I get a Siempre and soda? Don't get offended. They're like, oh, what?
No, it's fine.
I was like, you need to get Siempre. And then 2 weeks later, they have it on the shelf. And it's just like, but I'm saying just the value of multiplying is really an effect in something like this.
Yeah,
So,
word of mouth is stronger than any billboard.
yeah.
Yeah, and Siempre soda is good.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Approved.
you're fine. You're fine.
Can I put like a little splash of like grapefruit juice in it too?
That now you're getting into the zone of Paloma, and Siempre Plata makes a wonderful Paloma.
Look at that.
Yeah, you're good.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Alex, you're a great friend. You're a great partner to us. We're grateful and excited that we got to share a little piece of your story today, and looking forward to more flavors to come. And then, ladies and gentlemen, what's your favorite flavor? If you had one tequila you had to live with every day, which one do you pick?
If you had to kill all your children except for one.
Who's your favorite child? Who's your most expensive child? This one?
This is the most expensive one for now.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Dun, dun, dun.
But I would say this. I would say that the Supremo, the Siempre Supremo, would be my go-to, because with that you can make all the rest of them. That's like 110 proof, still strength. It is the most old school tequila that tequila can be, because it's made with this Tahona, so it's volcanic stone crushed, wild fermented with fibers. But it is badass. Like I used to dip a ladle into the still, bring the bottle home, and then I was like, well, this is ridiculous. We should just put this in a bottle and sell it too, right? If I'm hoarding it and drinking it myself, then somebody else must like it. So that Supremo is probably the one, because it is the base of everything.
Love it. The plane has landed. Siempre Tequila. We love you, Alex. We love you. We appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in.
We love the hell out of you and you guys.
Really?
We appreciate you guys. The people inside of the
camera.
camera.
Oh yeah, I was like, oh, that's so nice.
Well, I mean, oh no.
Yeah.
We appreciate you
that
guys.
backfire. We appreciate y'all, and then everyone watching this and listening for the future. This is a great story that, again, the common theme is just not giving up and having grit and having really great tequila. So, hats off to Siempre.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
sir.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Cheers.